I've said it once and I'll say it again. A hero's mettle is only decided by the kind of villain he faces. If Superman were going against someone weak and stupid, he wouldn't be the hero we know and love today. Villains inadvertently define the heroes, their strengths, and their morals. The more interesting and mysterious the villain, the more you're involved in the story. The RoboCop franchise has had some pretty intriguing villains, but none as cool as Otomo, the robo-antagonist of RoboCop 3 and the comic series RoboCop Last Stand. If you ask me, Otomo easily stole the limelight of both the film and the comic book series. So in this video, let's take a look at everything we know about this cool silent villain. Who exactly is Otomo? Otomo's introduction should tell you just how much of a threat he is. In RoboCop 3, the old man, the chairman of Omni Consumer Products, has passed away, and the Japanese Kanemitsu Corporation has bought a controlling stake in the company. They're focusing on building Delta City, a completely privatized corporate city, by clearing out old Detroit. OCP has never really cared for the people of Detroit, and this film only further cements that. Their rehabilitation work starts with Cadillac Heights, where they clear people out forcefully. In the news, OCP assures everyone that the residents will be provided space to live in Delta City, but the people at Cadillac Heights know that they're about to be unhomed. So they resist. To deal with the resistors, OCP puts together a brutal private security force called the Urban Rehabilitators, or Rehabs, led by Paul McDaggett. The resistance, however, is far stronger than the Rehabs, and OCP fails to clear them all out. Mr. Kanemitsu is disappointed by the incompetent Americans and decides to send an agent of his own to speed up the process. That agent is Otomo. Kanemitsu's subordinate is not sure that they can use Otomo yet, as he hasn't been deployed in areas with high population. In the comics, the old man is still alive, and Kanemitsu sends his loyal agent to help him. This is how Otomo is introduced, as a solution that is only chosen in the very end and that might be overkill. Experimental but deadly nevertheless. He's sitting in a room lit by candles, meditating with a sword in his lap. There's no indication that he's a robot. At first glance, you're pushed to assume that Otomo is maybe a highly trained assassin, ninja, or perhaps a bodyguard. Dents start to appear in that assumption when, during a fight, his jaw is dislocated terribly. Otomo pushes it back into place, and you start to wonder, is he actually a cyborg, or is he a wonder of human physiology? It's not until the fight with Alex Murphy when he shoots at him that we see that he's actually a humanoid android. Otomo is not simply a guy, but a whole program. In the final fight, Alex Murphy faces not one, but two Otomos. This shows you that Otomo is not one individual, but a model or a series of android assassins. This is probably a key project of the Kanemitsu Corporation. The Otomos are highly advanced enforcement machines, and they get an excellent opportunity to test him out against RoboCop and the Detroit Resistance. The two Otomos are proof that identical units are being produced by Kanemitsu Corporation. Otomo is not a unique cyborg like Alex Murphy. He is a code, a complicated product that can ultimately be copied and mass-produced. The comic series adds a twist to it that makes him even more of a threat to Murphy. In Last Stand, Fax is bailed out of prison and rehired by OCP for their attitude adjustment program, where unruly children and adults alike go through brainwashing experiments to become obedient and submissive citizens who do what they're told. As Delta City keeps getting delayed, OCP goes into a loss and fires many people, including Fax. She sets her eyes on Otomo and immediately allies up with him, offering her knowledge of Murphy for his advantage. In an OCP room, Fax is seen walking through a passage lined with multiple Otomos, showing that many similar androids have been created with the same exact design and programming. Why does Otomo look completely human? While RoboCop looks like a robot hiding a human inside it, Otomo looks like a human hiding a robot inside it. This is pretty much how their design works too. Alex Murphy is a human who has had technological advancements added to his body, but Otomo is a robot perfectly camouflaged as a human. This is different from the ED-209 too. Neither RoboCop nor ED-209 would have been confused with being an actual human. Their metallic exterior would make them stand out in any crowd. On the other hand, Otomo could easily infiltrate any human establishment without raising any hint of suspicion. Unless he has major battle damage that stripped his skin or exposed his wiring, he would just be an average Joe. His lifelike design thus makes him a wonderful spy, along with being a combat machine. Otomo is a speed demon. The greatest advantage Otomo has over RoboCop is his speed. Don't get me wrong, RoboCop is a powerful cyborg and an incredible cop, but his movements are visibly slower when compared to Otomo. His deliberate speed and movements are a sharp contrast to Otomo, who can move like a superhuman. RoboCop's movements are very mechanical as well, but Otomo has an ease to his behavior. He's extremely fast, having a clear advantage over Murphy. Otomo's reflexes are enhanced. Speed is a great advantage to have, but in hand-to-hand combat, that's hardly enough. Reflexes are key to any good fighter, and they're clearly enhanced in Otomo. These allow him to fight armed opponents and react rapidly to their attacks during close-range combat. They help him anticipate attacks from his opponents as well. That also explains how Otomo could fight RoboCop with all the weapons attached to his system using nothing but a katana. Superhuman strength. Otomo's strength is well beyond that of an ordinary human. I don't think any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the streets would be able to physically engage a cybernetic opponent like RoboCop, whose body is more machine than human. Even by robot standards, his strength is surprisingly high. In the movies, he knocks RoboCop around like he's a common ragdoll. He even manages to overpower and destabilize him during their first fight. It also helps him combine his strikes and acrobatics with physical force. A katana is dangerous on its own, but wielding it with deadly force is what makes him unstoppable. Nowhere is his strength more visible than in the comic book series. When Otomo lands on the road from a helicopter, the concrete road shatters. Not only that, while fighting RoboCop, Otomo pierced RoboCop's metal chest with just his hand and pulled out his heart. He tried to do it once again, but RoboCop had changed the location of his heart. He crushed the metallic organ with just his palm. Expert martial arts programming. A normal industrial robot or cyborg like RoboCop, or even RoboCop 2, are not especially trained in combat. They just have strength, really powerful weapons, and ammunition on their side that more or less guarantees their success. Otomo, however, has been programmed with an elite combat style that imitates a ninja or a samurai. He's an expert martial artist who can land perfect kicks and punches. His close quarters attacks and evasive maneuvers are unpredictably effective. Add that to his acrobatics and genius swordsmanship, and he's just a fighting machine. I don't know about anything else, but when it comes to sophisticated fighting techniques, nobody can beat Otomo in the RoboCop franchise. A katana that can cut steel. I won't lie, the first time I saw that katana, I wasn't convinced it would be a good weapon for someone going against RoboCop. RoboCop is mostly metal. How would a katana cut through his body or damage him in any way that matters? Otomo shattered that assumption as his katana can cut through steel. When he faces RoboCop for the very first time, he slices through his hand as if he were cutting through butter. Otomo's katana unfortunately brought his own downfall as well, as Nico's clever programming turned the two Otomos against each other, and the two beheaded one another. Helicopter combat. If you're a huge fan of Otomo like me, you've read the comic series RoboCop Last Stand, as it massively expands on his battlefield capabilities. The series shows Otomo as a natural pilot, as he maneuvers an attack helicopter to kill RoboCop. Comic Otomo is not purely a melee fighter, and has a well-rounded fighting style. It doesn't matter to him whether the fight is on land or in the air, and he'll remain on mission. In the comics, he also seems to have automatic navigation built in, while the Otomo in the movie had to depend on a solid map and a clue he obtained from the Resistance. Otomo helps take over OCP. RoboCop 3 had a lot of corporate conflict going on in the background. Kanemitsu has a lot of sway over the OCP, and is rapidly taking over the void left by the old man. OCP is under a lot of financial stress, and the head of Rehabs, Paul McDaggett, has a secret quid pro quo relationship with Kanemitsu. In the movie, Otomo is just a pawn in the game, merely an instrument that carries out Kanemitsu's orders. The storyline in the comics is dramatically different from the movie. Otomo has a bigger role in the corporate high drama. The old man is still alive, but is more or less powerless in comparison to Kanemitsu, and when Fax allies with Otomo, they become a dangerous duo who would stop at nothing to kill RoboCop. Otomo manages to severely damage RoboCop in their first encounter, but there's a lot of collateral damage, which the old man isn't happy about. The old man fires Fax again and orders Otomo to get on the next plane to Tokyo, promising to report his failure to Kanemitsu. To that, Otomo silently closes the door, attaches the silencer to his gun, and shoots all the executives in the room. Scared to his very core, the old man asks Fax to talk to Otomo as he listens to her. Fax, however, takes the gun herself and shoots the old man, clearly not happy about being fired twice. This hostile takeover shows Otomo's commitment to his mission. He was not going to let the old man return him to his master before his goal had been reached. The relationship between Fax and Otomo is strange, for a lack of better word, as Fax begins a sexual relationship with one of the Otomos. Honestly, it would require a whole video to unpack the weirdness of that relationship. Otomo's unlikely alliance with Fax might also indicate Kanemitsu's attempt to overtake OCP through his loyal android's help. Self-destruct system. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that Otomo was made with a lot of careful thinking and research. There's a failsafe mechanism built into Otomo, a self-destruct system enabled with a bomb. So basically, if Otomo is defeated or compromised in any way, a tiny bomb goes off, killing everyone around him in a few-mile radius. When he's defeated by Nico's clever programming in RoboCop 3, both the Otomos explode and destroy the OCP headquarters completely. That same mechanism is built into the Otomos of Last Stand too. Since there are more Otomos in the comic series, when they explode, a mushroom cloud is formed and many buildings nearby crumble. This makes Otomo not just a nightmare to fight, but a nightmare to defeat as well. Once Otomo is sent to battle, there's barely any way to win. Firearms proficiency. The coolest Otomo scenes are his sword fights, but Otomo's mastery is not restricted to traditional weapons like katanas. He also knows how to use a gun. The film does not go into it much, but the comic series shows him to be highly capable with firearms. He's great at using the weapons in the attack helicopter too, demonstrating the fact that he's not just programmed to be a ninja assassin, but a well-rounded android warrior. Wireless reprogrammability. I've spent a lot of time singing Otomo's praises, but now it's time to talk about his weakness, the very issue that brought about his downfall. Otomo can be programmed and reprogrammed wirelessly. Clever Nico, the little girl who's a computer whiz, along with Dr. M. Lazarus, the scientist who was working on RoboCop and OCP before she was fired, hacks into the two Otomo androids electronically. They reprogram to attack each other instead of Murphy. This tells us that the Otomo program has some form of remotely accessible computerized control system, just in case they needed to disarm him or stop him in case he went rogue. This is what serves as both his conscience and logic, as he didn't have their natural substitutes like Murphy. He was simply a machine controlled by his software. No human pain response. Being a complete android does have its benefits. Since Otomo is not an ordinary human fighter, he's not fettered by any injuries. All it takes to knock out the world's best human fighter is a critically aimed hit. Just one, with enough force and speed at the right spot. Severe damage that would incapacitate or even kill a person simply exposes Otomo's mechanical interior. On top of that, you can't intimidate a machine. Fights are equally about physical prowess and psychological manipulation. If you manage to convince your opponent that you're stronger than him, even if you aren't, you've already gained an upper hand. An android like Otomo is not even aware of what fear is. That's everything we know about Otomo from the movie and the comic series. I might disagree about his powers, but I'll fight anyone who says he's not the most stylish villain in the series. The silence only adds to his mysterious aura. What do you think about Otomo? Let me know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, smash that thumbs up and subscribe to our wonderful channel. I'll soon be back with more awesome stuff, but until then, goodbye!